There has been a veritable cascade of blockbuster revelations in recent days about the growing pile of evidence of the Trump coup plot from the January 6th committee, which has concluded for the very first time that we know of that it has reached the bar. It has enough evidence to refer the ex-president to the Department of Justice for criminal charges. But it is grappling with whether to send that referral to DOJ and add that pressure to Attorney General Merrick Garland's calculations out of some concerns of politically tainting any investigation. That probe, unprecedented, delivering two major wins and indications about the wide net being cast. Rally organizer, a man named Ali Alexander, is now the first high-profile figure known to be cooperating with DOJ. And as we reported yesterday, a federal jury found former Virginia police officer Thomas Robertson guilty on 6 counts related to his participation in the Capitol attack, including felony obstruction of an official proceeding. An important conviction in an important January 6th case, one of just 2 that have gone to trial so far. Joining our conversation, California Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, a member of the January 6th Select Committee. Jonathan's still with us. Congresswoman, thank you for being with us. I wonder if you can tell us if you meant for us to know that this bar has been reached, that you have enough evidence, or if it's a product of needing to make some of these filings in the related court cases like the Eastman case.
Well, I hate to say it, but I think the media coverage has been an error. The New York Times headline didn't match the story. Number one, the committee has never met to discuss the idea of whether or not to send a so-called referral to the Department of Justice. Number two, we would not be in a position to have that discussion until the investigation is complete and we knew what it was that we were sending to the department. And number three, just as a matter of fact, a so-called referral has no legal impact. It's basically sending a letter saying, here's our opinion and here's some evidence. So, I think it's clear to me as one member that the evidence supports a finding of significant misconduct on the part of the former president. And if you read Judge Clark's opinion on the Eastman case, I think he reached that same conclusion looking at the evidence. But I think there's been much ado about something that hasn't occurred, which is a discussion, let alone a disagreement among the committee about any potential so-called referral.
Well, then let me ask you about the facts. I mean, do you have evidence, as Liz Cheney indicated in an interview on CNN Sunday, of criminal wrongdoing on the part of Donald Trump?
Well, let me just say this. I agree with Liz, but obviously our rules are that you can't disclose the evidence that we have without a vote of the committee, and there has been no such vote. I would just direct interested parties to read Judge Clark's opinion, because it's not just the members of the committee reviewing evidence that leads us to believe there's significant misconduct, but a federal judge who reviewed evidence reached that conclusion and said in his opinion that it's more likely than not that the former president committed crimes and fraud. So that's pretty significant.
Well, and I just want to be exact here, because I think words matter very much to our viewers. And I think there was some relief that a bar had been reached, that what Judge Clark was speaking to was the very evidence that the Times reports you now have enough of to prove to anyone that wanted to investigate Donald Trump criminally that a bar had been reached for a referral. The process piece aside, do you agree with the assessment from federal Judge David Clark that that bar has been reached?
Well, I think his decision was soundly based. Let me say that.
That's a yes.
Yeah, we've got more work to do at the committee. And of course, we've made it clear throughout, we're a legislative committee. We're not a prosecutorial body. And when we have got our report in line, we will release all of the information that we have to the public and, by the way, the Department of Justice. So, we're reaching conclusions. I have opinions. Each member of the committee does based on what we've seen, but we haven't had a vote or had a discussion on where we are yet.
So again, I don't want to get locked in the process, because I think part of the service to the country has been, because of the nature of the committee's work, there is a duty to be transparent. There is a transparency to your investigation that has served the public. And certainly people who watched Robert Mueller and 2 impeachments come up short to holding Donald Trump accountable. There's a lot of relief that it appears someone is. So I guess, if you don't like the way this story articulated it, it is a relief to hear that you agree with a federal judge who also felt that a bar had been reached on criminality, probably enough evidence for felonies to have been committed, he said.
Well, of course, as you know, criminal prosecution has a different evidentiary standard than the case that was before the judge. Is beyond a reasonable doubt. So there is that issue for prosecutors to sort through. But let me just say this, the committee is not afraid of anything. We're not afraid of speaking out. We're not afraid of releasing our information. We're not afraid of calling anyone who we think will shed light. And we will do exactly what we think is right to uncover the truth.
Will that include subpoenas for Kevin McCarthy and other Republican House members?
We have not reached that conclusion. And part of it's not a matter of being afraid. You also need to be strategic, and what will result in more information instead of just endless litigation.
Would you mind sharing your opinions about the effectiveness of a criminal referral? If you get to the end of the process, you finished your report, can you just give a viewer, a citizen, a pro-con breakdown of what that would mean?
Well, just as a matter of law, a so-called criminal referral has no legal impact. It's different than the referrals we made for criminal prosecution for defying the subpoenas. There's an actual federal statute about that, which invites the Congress to go ahead and make that referral. But under our constitutional system, the Congress is not the prosecutor, and I don't think the American people want a legislative body to be a prosecutor. So we have an opinion. We could send that opinion over to the Department of Justice, but under the law, it has no legal impact.
But it obviously has a psychological and political impact. And your message today is that you're not fighting amongst yourselves. You're not at that point, and people have opinions, but there hasn't been a forum to air them yet. I just want to make sure I understand you.
That is correct. We've had no discussion in the committee, and my guess is we would not be in a position to have that discussion until the investigation is close to complete.
Do you mind, or any interest, or could I entice you to share your opinion in this current political climate and all the pressure bearing down on Merrick Garland about whether it would be a useful thing to do to refer Trump criminally?
I don't know the answer to that. We haven't had a chance to go through the pros and cons with our professional staff. And I really think there's been entirely too much spinning around among commentators. This is not the major gist of our investigation, and it's not, as a fact, has not been agendized yet.